Today, we're going to take a look at all Gateron's Hall effect switches so you can find the best one for you. First up, the WS dashes, which are my pick for the best clacky Hall effect switch. They completely fix that weird rattly sound you get with stock wooting lacquer switches. Thanks to their steel bottom housing, you're getting this clean, satisfying clack when you bottom out. In terms of feel, they're buttery smooth out of the box with a 55-gram bottom out force. You might have heard of the Gateron magnetic jades before, and these dashes are exactly the same as them, but they're only different in two ways. For one, the stem on these is purple, and for two, you can grab the dashes for 75 cents a switch exclusively at Milktooth, where you get free shipping on orders over $49, while the jades will run you about 80 cents. Now, here's the sound test. The Gateron Magnetic Jade Pros are the marbliest sounding Hall effect switches on the market. For context, the default lacquers on a wooting can have a somewhat scattered sound profile. In contrast, these Magnetic Jade Pro switches offer a more focused, concentrated sound. It's similar to the way a magnifying glass concentrates light, but in this case, it's a sound that's being focused, which ends up sounding super marbly. Another pro of these Magnetic Jade Pros is that they emit RGB really well, like it's noticeably brighter than most Hall effect switches out there. It's worth pausing here to mention the main differences between these pros and the WS dashes and magnetic jades, considering they were all made by Gateron. I noticed three main differences with the pro version. For one, the pros are a little heavier at 36 grams compared to the jades and dashes 30 grams. Secondly, and relatedly, the pros feel a little more generously lubed than the dashes and jades, which makes the pros feel smoother. And lastly, in my view, the sound is even more marbly with the pros. This makes the pros a little pricier at 80 cents per switch as opposed to 75 cents for the dashes. In short, if you are okay with the heavier type feel in exchange for something smoother, the pros are well worth it. Here's the sound test. The Magnetic Jade gaming switches stand out primarily because of their box stem design, which significantly reduces wobble and increases stability. The travel distance with these is still 3.5mm. In terms of sound signature, these sound closer to the dashes rather than the Magnetic Jade Pros we just talked about, offering a bright sound signature. Here's how they sound. The Magnetic Jade Max switches are Gateron's answer to those seeking a deeper, more muted sound profile in the Hall effect space. While they're not the deepest switches you'll ever hear, they definitely stand out among Gateron's Hall effect lineup for their relatively thocky and muted sound signature. Moreover, the transparent housing does an excellent job at light diffusion, so these are great if you use RGB. In terms of type feel, they're also notably tighter and smoother than their siblings. Take a listen. For those seeking a quieter typing experience, the Gateron Genty switches offer an interesting middle ground. While they're not completely silent, they still qualify as semi-silent switches. Their unique design features a hole in the bottom housing, which seems to help diffuse the sound rather than concentrating it, resulting in a quieter overall sound profile. The bottom out feels satisfying, and while the top out muted pads do provide some sound dampening, don't expect complete silence. These switches are particularly appealing given their lower price point compared to options like the Jade Max. Here's the sound test. Now, here are back-to-back sound tests of all the switches we talked about today. But if you want to check out my top 5 Hall effect switches of the year regardless of brand, make sure to watch this video here. For now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.